How's it going, guys? I hope you guys are having a great week. So I'm back today with the third and final end of year review video. This one's a little bit different. I had a bit of an idea this year, and so I reached out to my community and I asked them what their favorite game of 2024 was, and these were the responses.
Hi there, Ploppy54 here from TK Games, and I thought I'd let you know my favourite game of 2024, and that is Star Wars Outlaws. This game caught quite a lot of negative press due to its bugs and lack of force powers, or Sith and Jedi, but for me it was this element that actually helped enhance the game for me. I know a lot of people want to play a Star Wars game, they'll want to play as a force-wielding Jedi Knight, or a complete badass Darth Vader type who goes around force choking everybody, but Star Wars is a massive universe. Well, galaxy if you like, and so there's so many stories that can be told within it. It doesn't mean it has to be about the Sith and the Jedi, and playing through the game actually gives you a bigger respect for them. The game is set between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, so there are no Force users around. Everybody you meet is going to be holding a blaster. Playing games like Force Unleashed or Jedi Survivor, you can become numb to using Force powers because it is part of the gameplay. But when you're playing a Star Wars game that doesn't have these people in it, and you're walking around these cantinas, if you was to see one, you kind of see it from the perspective of everybody else in the universe and probably think that they're gods, and it gives you that deeper respect for them. As for the game itself, I think it did a wonderful blend of stealth action. The story was brilliant, it gave you a real Han Solo kind of feel. The job's gone wrong, you try to get out of it, and you just get into bigger and bigger scrapes trying to get yourself out of the mess you've just got yourself into. And before you know it, you've got yourself a ship and a crew and one last big job just to set yourself free. There's some gameplay issues, I know, but I don't think I found any game-breaking bugs. And I believe that they have now implemented some updates which makes carrying blasters a lot easier, and AI's been tweaked. But I honestly don't think it deserved the negativity that it did. And it has everything there for a Star Wars fan. Interesting side missions, ship-to-ship combat, multiple planets you can travel to. There's always something you can do. You can travel semi-free roam on the planets and sneaking into Imperial bases, character customization, and a great cast of characters to interact with. Your companion Nix is great as well, and he can help out with the stealth aspects too. So if you're looking for a game that's set in a galaxy far, far away, and you want it from a different perspective, then this is the Star Wars game you're looking for. Thanks for listening to me waffle, keep up the great work, and I'll see you next time.
Hello, I'm N7Steph, Twitch streamer and gamer. My favorite game of 2024, of course, is not a shocker. It is Dragon Age the Veilguard for very many reasons. The game itself is amazing and fun to play. I love the new art style. I think it's beautiful. The combat is ridiculously awesome. The story, for me, was amazing. So, quite a few happy moments and some unbearably sad moments as well. It did make me cry. If a game can make you cry, then it's definitely worth playing, I think. I thought the characters were fleshed out extremely well. The story that added so much more lore and interpretation to the already ginormously huge world of Thedas. The game itself is beautiful, from Minrathous to Treviso, from the Hossberg Wetlands to the Lighthouse. The character creator is absolutely amazing. It's one of the very best that I've seen in any game. It surpasses that of Dragon's Dogma 2 and even Baldur's Gate, in my opinion. The biggest pull, I think, for me would be the story, though. I know that there's been a lot of controversy about why wasn't this in the game and why wasn't that in the game. All the things that were, people were like, why was this not in the game, were things from the other games. And, your choices and things that don't seem to make a difference in this game. And while I understand the argument, this game does not take place in Southern Thedas. This is Northern Thedas, where we don't have a chantry there. We don't have anything from the previous games in Northern Thedas. We're in Tevinter. We're in Antiva. It's a whole different world with new things to explore, and it's incorporated so well, in my opinion, to bring us together with Southern Thetis, and it, for the next game to create something in both locations and an epic ending. I think would surpass any and all expectations. I really wish that people would open their minds to that and realize that just because we didn't get, things that we had in the first 3 games, it's not because, I don't think it's because the devs didn't want us to. I think they wanted to show us, the part of Northern Thetis that we've never seen before, and that the customs and traditions and things are not the same. So with that being said, again, my favorite game of 2024 is Dragon Age: The Veilguard, and thanks for listening to my little blurb. Bye.
N7 Dante here, and my favourite game of 2024 was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. My experience with it was so good that I felt compelled to write the review for the channel back in April, link down below. I played over 100 hours but could happily continue going through every aspect of that game. Like, how do I even explain this in just a few minutes? Well, first it looks damn pretty. As someone who's played the original FF7 game, it was a joy to see how every area, scenario and character had been faithfully modernised and then massively expanded upon. Every location was recognisable and gave rewarding reasons to just live in it for longer and explore every nook and cranny. Some highlights were Costa del Sol, making me feel like I was on vacation with the characters at a beach resort, giving some light-hearted fun before things got serious. The Golden Saucer recaptured that feeling of a massive theme park just filled with attractions to enjoy and the spectacle of everything surrounding it, especially with the updated entrance and date scenes. Ah, Tifa. Then Cosmo Canyon brought me back to nature with its valleys and cave systems, complete with glorious remixes of the original soundtracks. Oh, the music! One of the finest gaming OSTs in existence that has always captured the mood and just had me singing along, especially when Yuffie decided to add lyrics to her own theme. Despite knowing every character's story, there was so much new stuff here, making me even more invested in the cast. They're so richly written and superbly voice acted at all times. The combat system from FF7 Remake was already polished, but Rebirth upgraded it even further with cool synergy attacks that were awesome to pull off and highlighted each character's teamwork. Then there's all the addictive minigames that went into so much detail you'd think you're playing something completely different. The whole game was an emotional roller coaster, and I can't wait to see how Cloud and Co continue the journey. Oh, I could talk about this game for hours, but let's listen to someone else now. Thanks for the time, Kate.
Hi all, it's Glimfeather. One game I really enjoyed playing this last year is Remnant 2. I've heard it described as Dark Souls with guns, which I think is an apt description. One of the things I like the most about the game is something that I thought I would like the least about it going into it, which is that it's procedurally generated. But this just means that the bosses that you encounter, the loot that you find, and even the order in which you go through the worlds during the campaign is just going to be different each time, so no 2 playthroughs are going to be exactly the same. You literally can't see everything in one playthrough, which I think helps with the replayability of the game. The game is also packed full of puzzles and secrets to unravel, or look up on the internet. Besides all of this, the game is visually stunning and has a beautiful soundtrack, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who's even slightly interested, as it's one of my most favorite releases in the last few years.
Hi, this is MotherMantiss, and my breakout game for 2024 is a game that until just a few weeks ago was not even on my radar. And my friend Glim, who is in my Discord, suggested the new Indiana Jones game, which at that time was coming out in just a few weeks. In the game, he's trying to stop, these sinister Axis powers from harnessing this mysterious power, or to figure out the power that's kind of connected to these great circle sites. And Indiana Jones is trying to stop the Nazis and the fascists from harnessing that power. And the game takes place in 1937. And let me tell you, this game for me was a giant surprise. I loved it. The game itself is a real romp of a video game. It's exactly what a video game should be, in my opinion. It's fun. The graphics are beautiful. It's got that movie sort of a feel in the best way. The voice actor who plays the young Indy is spot on. He's so on. It's perfect. And it's by far and away the best Indiana Jones story that I've seen in quite a long time. It's a game that plays a lot like a movie should feel, if that makes sense. It's not a super bloodthirsty game. It's a little more patient. It's a little more slower paced. It focuses a little bit more on exploration and stealth, although because this is Indy, the stealth usually goes wrong and he gets caught and he ends up having to fight. Guns are rarely, and really they are barely, a viable option. It's just a great, fun adventure with a lot of fistfights. Another thing I really appreciated about this game, especially after some other games in 2024, is this game has not been completely homogenized like a lot of games have. It stays true to the tone and spirit of Indiana Jones. It's very cinematic, and it's just a really great Indiana Jones game. I didn't even know I wanted to play an Indiana Jones game until I started playing it. You play in first person, and that gives you a really nice sense of scale, and some of the locations that you get to see in the game are beautifully rendered and really interesting. As you walk through these really interesting rooms and locations, you can pick up and look at documents and clues and manipulate and move objects, and there are puzzles. I'm staying purposely very vague so that I don't spoil anything for you, but I would encourage you, if you haven't thought about playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, you should pick it up. Anyways, that was my unexpected breakout game of 2024. Thanks.
Hi Kate, it's Tiggs. In 2024, I spent a lot of time with Atlas's JRPGs, and my standout would have to be Metaphor Fantasio. Taking definite cues from recent Persona and Shin Megami Tensei games, it treads territory that recent Megaten entries don't really tread, a more traditional fantasy world. I loved how it adapted the calendar system from Persona to fit more of a road trip than a school day style, and alongside the other aspects clearly inherited from other Megaten games, it goes to show that you can make something that feels fresh, even whilst keeping the familiar things that make your other games successful. Square Enix, please take note, amongst others. Archetypes offered an interesting take on the job or class systems used by other RPGs. I also liked that in New Game Plus, you still had to unlock the archetypes as the game went on, but they unlocked at a rank each character had them at previously, alongside any unlocked inheritable skills. So, you didn't start off your New Game Plus overpowered, but you soon regained what you had previously. The characters are interesting, and your main party and the side characters you can form bonds with are mostly outcasts of some sort. The music is fantastic. Shoji Meguro is on point as always, but also showing his versatility because it doesn't sound identical to a lot of his other games, which all sound different from each other anyway. And I have to talk about the art style, especially the human monster designs, which were very heavily influenced by 15th century artist Hieronymus Bosch. And even the stuff that wasn't effectively a one-to-one copy of something from a painting, things that were probably original still very much felt like they were sort of the same. So all in all, the game offered something both new and familiar and gave me over 300 hours of playtime. Definitely worth checking out.
Hey, this is Tote. In case any of you were interested. No? Ah, well, too bad. Now you know. Anyway, so I couldn't really come to terms with what I felt was my favorite game of 2024. Maybe that's because there were so many. Maybe I'm indecisive. I don't know. But I immediately remembered my surprise game of 2024, Forspoken. Now, mind you, I did not play it on release. Mainly because of all the horrendous reviews that I'd read and watched. It just sounded horrible. At some point throughout the year, though, I think there was a sale, and I got it really cheap for like 14 euros, I think. If you need to, converse that, good luck. So I had literally zero expectations starting that game up. In fact, I was sure I'm going to deinstall it after like 15 minutes. But the course of sure prediction never runs smoothly, as Shakespeare once said. Here I am now, having platinumed it on PlayStation 5, and actually having had a blast doing so. So how did I get past the very egocentric, annoyingly hip Frey, our main character, or her shiny yet surprisingly dull talking wristband thingy? Well, let me tell you. By taking them for what they were. Characters I could not in the slightest relate to, but I could allow them to take me along on their journey, their story. And what I experienced was an incredibly breathtaking world. From area to area, the environment changed. Green and lush mountainsides led to dusty, sandy wastelands. I took hours just taking in the view and getting a trophy for taking photos whilst doing that. The combat was so enjoyable, it's fluid and never boring. The parkour stands out so much, and I have not experienced something like this before. Sadly, though, the pacing of the story, yes, surprise, there is a story, and it ain't that bad either. But the pacing of it is off. And that's leading to Frey not having access to all the powers and combat moves until the very end. This sucked. But there's free roam after the story comes to a close, and as a completionist, I made sure I made use of drowning my enemies whilst cool surfing over a lake, grappling myself onto the highest possible cliffs, and absolutely demolishing my enemies. I enjoyed every minute being in Frey's adventure. Well worth my time. Maybe well worth yours if you can play it detached from yourself. Not needing to be that shining hero who selflessly throws themselves in front of a dragon to save the village. This game could have been excellent. And, well, actually, it could have been excellent with just a few tweaks. Or the possibility to wash out Frey's mouth with soap. Goodbye.
This is N7 Kate recording on behalf of Lilbluemozoti. My favourite game for the year is Dragon Age the Veilguard. It was such a good story and it hit me right in the feels. There was laughter and sadness and anger and so many WTF moments. Basically, BioWare at its greatest. Of course, can't go wrong with amazing romances in the game too. Stares dreamily at Lucanus and Emmerich. Anywho, if you haven't played the game, I definitely recommend it. This is N7 Kate reading on behalf of Bad Boy 12345. I would say my top game for 2024 was Starfield, with over 1,000 hours played this year. What draws me into Starfield is the freedom to explore the settled system. With the release of the Shattered Space DLC, we learned more about the inner workings of House Va'ruun. I would say the Vortex horrors were one of the scariest creatures out there. The experiments that the leader of House Faerywing was conducting in secret was interesting. The implication of your choices be far-reaching, but many questions do remain unanswered. I really enjoyed my time with Starfield Shattered Space this year, and that is why it's my favourite game of 2024.
The game I have spent the most hours on this year is Nightingale. It's still in early access and had a bit of a rough start, possibly from Inflection opening early access a bit too early. But with each update, there are improvements that really show the potential of this game. The NPC helpers have greatly improved since day one, so you can control what they do now. They won't chop down your house. The complete overhaul they did a few months ago really made the game better and more interesting to play. It's a less of a grind now, with a system a little more on par with other survival crafting titles. They've added a lot more story material since the start, which has me looking forward to where the full story will end up at the end. I can get into a bit of a zen mode when I'm building or chasing down the wisps, which is helpful when I need to rest my brain for a bit. The worlds are absolutely beautiful to explore, and Puck's character design is so detailed and impressive. The Gaslamp fantasy and steampunk vibe is kind of all too rare in games, and I absolutely love seeing it here. And I can't wait to see what they have in store for us on future updates.
Reading on behalf of AJGamer. So, the only game that was released in 2024 that I'm currently playing is Dragon Age: The Veilguard. I initially thought that I wouldn't even be able to play the game, as my PC is very, very low end at this stage, but I was pleasantly surprised. On startup of the game on the settings screen, I had to make tweaks to the in-game graphics and cutscene graphics in order for me to be able to play the game. Sometimes still in certain areas the game tends to stutter a bit, but usually when that happens I just don't go any further. I was blown away actually with how good everything looked, even on low to medium settings. I know that BioWare said that they wanted most everyone to be able to play on PC, and they came through. I'm about 80 plus hours into the game, and I have to say that I am loving the game. There are a few things that can get irritating, like when you get stuck on something during a battle, or that the NPCs treat you like you're a child, but overall a good solid game. I can't wait to upgrade my PC so that I can play it on better specs. Thanks, Kate. Hope this is good. This is N7 Kate reading on behalf of Dreadwolf75. One game that I played this year that really grabbed me is Lord of the Rings Return to Moria. Not Dragon Age, you ask? No, not Dragon Age. It surprised me too. Don't get me wrong, Solus is my soulmate and I do love the Veilguard. But Return to Moria shocked me because after just about an hour playing my little dwarf lady, I was hooked. The music is beautiful and the story is great. There's enough combat to help you forget here, and it is a survival crafting game. I love that the settings can be adjusted to make sure you don't die so often that you give up, yet not make it so easy that it's boring. It's a great game for single player or co-op with friends. I'm still totally addicted to the Dragon Age series, but it's also nice to have other things to play, and Return to Moria is definitely a new favourite.
Hi. So a friend of mine asked me to talk about favorite games of 2024. I'll be honest, I hadn't played any new games. Well, I did, but I didn't get a lot. I didn't get to play a lot of new games. 2024 was a rough year for me. in a very stressful year. So I really didn't get a whole lot of new gaming in my schedule. I tried out a few demos. One was New Arcline, which is now out for early access. It looks like it's some fun. I also tried a couple of other games that have been out for a while, but I've never played them. But I didn't stick with any of them because time, mostly. So the main game that I would say is my game of the year is the only game that I actually looked forward to for the entire year. And also, I needed this game for myself for mental wellness. And it hasn't disappointed yet. I'm not finished with the game, but I just got to Act 2. I do have a Let's Play of it on my YouTube channel, and that is Dragon Age The Veilguard. Right, yeah, that is my game of 2024, so it did what it needed to do for me. It's very helpful, and I'm still playing it, so.
So there you have it, guys. Those are the favorite games for 2024 from my community. I just want to say a massive, huge thank you to everybody who contributed, who sent me a response on this, whether you sent me a written blurb or you recorded an audio clip, or even when the Extra Miler made a video. Thank you very much, MotherMantiss. So yeah, just a huge thank you to everybody who contributed to this video. It was really fun to hear all of your thoughts and takes on what your favorite games for 2024 was, and hopefully we can do this again next year, because I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed cutting it all together, editing it all together, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it and found it interesting. It's always good to hear different voices other than my own, so thank you so much. Thank you for watching the video. Of course, like, comment, subscribe if you really enjoyed it and you want to see more content in the future. A special shout out, of course, to my Patreons and channel members for supporting the channel, for going the extra mile. I really appreciate you all. Hope you guys, of course, have a great week. Take care, and as always, happy gaming. I should go.